Hello, my name is Max and I'm the writer, director, editor, soundtrack composer and chief jelly baby expert on the set of the Watcherkind. So this is a little BTS video on how we made the film, and I've been wanting to make this for a while but I haven't really got round to it until now. So yeah, I hope you enjoy.
And we're rolling.
And open. Pre-production for the Watcherkind began in September 2025 with me wanting to create a short film that was of professional looking quality and was an accurate representation of my skill set as a filmmaker, basically. As my most recent short film before that, The Interview, is I'm very proud of it, but it's just not a representation of where I'm at. So I was looking for ideas on what this short film could be about, and I was driving along the A27 to my grandparents, and I noticed something that I'd actually seen quite a few times before on the side of the motorway, which is the Shoreham Gunnery dome. Not that I knew it then, it's just a weird green dome that you just see on the side of the motorway. Nobody really knows about it, it's just there. And I suddenly thought, I don't actually know what that is, but I bet I could shoot a killer short film there. So I did some research into it, and it is actually a gunnery dome that was abandoned from the Second World War. I'm fairly sure they used to project images inside the dome, and then they'd have like a fake cannon where trainees would try and shoot down what was being shone on the ceiling, if that makes sense. So with that knowledge, I set about creating a script based around this location, and I came to the idea of somebody who's injured trying to get to this dome for some reason and kind of walking along and something's watching them. I didn't really establish the genre. I wasn't sure whether I wanted it to be a horror or a science fiction or anything else. This was just something that I thought would look nice on camera and would look quite nice on my show reel and something that I could put on my CV. So with that in mind, I contacted some of the people that I knew who had skills that could help in creating that kind of picture. I first contacted Ben Hernandez, otherwise known as Midnight Productions, who's very, very talented with his videography. I also needed someone who could do the makeup, and I knew someone called Amy, who is very, very talented in makeup design, and her portfolio definitely had the kind of thing I was looking for. Now, in this kind of phase of pre-production, I began to develop the script more, and I realised that, of course, with a narrative-based project that's fiction, you need a more kind of intriguing plot that's more than just somebody walking towards a dome, because that's not very interesting. So I developed the script into being sort of a proper kind of post-apocalyptic thing, but I decided I wanted to intentionally leave like what had happened to the Earth as vague and up to the viewer. And maybe if this wasn't a short film and I had like 15 or 20 minutes instead of 7 or 8 was the final runtime, maybe I could have explored that a bit more, but for the purpose of the short film I decided to avoid that. So in terms of casting for the film, I'd made it fairly easy for myself intentionally by only having one central character, and that one central character has no lines whatsoever. There's no dialogue whatsoever in the script, and I knew I wanted to keep it that way, which also meant that I didn't have to cast someone in the role who is familiar with acting or had had a lot of experience. So I actually ended up casting one of my best friends, Lily, in the role. And for someone who's had really, really minimal acting experience, she did a wonderful job and she was very, very professional. I went up to the location with some of my friends to have a look at where we were filming and just to do a little location recce to check because I'd never actually been to the location, so I needed to check if everything was in order, if I could actually get into the dome, and if the dome actually was lit on the inside, because of course if there's no light in there, then I'd have to bring professional lighting equipment to actually light the inside of the dome. Thankfully, daylight kind of spread into the dome and created these lovely shadows, which you can probably see in these pictures that I'm putting up now. But yeah, it was exactly what I was looking for, and I couldn't have been happier with the location of Recce. I then assembled the sort of one important prop that we needed, which was the central communication device that's in the middle of the dome. I found the kind of chandelier that you see in the end product in a charity shop, and that was actually the only thing that I went out and bought for this prop. My laptop is used for the computer, obviously, and I found a foldable table in my garage, which I just put it on and I called it a day. In terms of other builds that needed to be ready for the shoot day, the Watcherkind costume was simply assembled from me wearing my hoodie backwards and putting a massive leather jacket that my dad owned over the top of it. Of course, if this was a professional Hollywood production, I would have wanted a proper monster for the Watcherkind, something really kind of unnerving. On a no-budget short film, this was the best I could do, and I think it actually works quite well. But most of that's down to Ben's cinematography and how good he made it look with that camera. Talking of cameras, we actually rented out an FX3 for this shoot, which is a high-quality camera that is worth, I believe, £3,000 to £4,000 to buy new. We rented it out for the day for £100, and it was one of the key investments for the film, as Ben had actually been going on to me for about a year. Let's get an FX3, let's get an FX3, let's get an FX3. And finally, I'd rented out an FX3, and he was a very, very happy guy. Then came the moment of truth with the actual shoot day. Now, this was in November, on the coldest day of the year, and we were on set outside for, I believe, 8 or 9 hours. It was a very, very long shoot, and we basically recorded everything in one day. Originally, there was going to be another shoot to shoot a flashback sequence where the woman's mind is briefly taken over by the Watcherkind. She was going to see some of the stuff that she kind of feared the most, her past experiences. But I ultimately cut that from the film, as I knew we'd have to rent out the FX3 again, and I just thought it was too complicated a sequence and we should just stick to what we shot. So we shot the film in one singular day, and we got onto the set at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and Amy needed an hour to do all of the makeup on Lily, so we gave her time to do that, and me and Ben went off to do some of the pickup shots of the Watcherkind in the distance, which didn't require Lily. Here is a rather embarrassing video of me bending over a lake to get the water for the bucket. I knew there was a stream nearby, so I thought, why not, and I just filled up the bucket with that, which is why the bucket looks fairly dirty with the water in it in the finished film. Of course, if this was a professional production, I would have actually just brought water with me to fill it up with. As soon as Lily's makeup was done, we properly got to work shooting the film. We actually ended up shooting it in order pretty much. I had made a shot list a few weeks before which kind of highlighted what should be shot first, what shots there were they a close-up, were they a medium shot, were they a wide shot. And in the end, we just kind of ended up shooting it in order. We could just do it like a theatre production. And even though that's not a standard industry practice, it worked really well for the type of production that we were going for. As we'd finished the opening scene, we moved on to filming inside the dome, and I was a bit worried that the location would be too dark and the camera wouldn't pick up enough light. But the FX3 did its job well, and it was absolutely worth the money that we spent using it. And it picked up some really, really nice light shines and kind of lens flares, and yeah, it was just amazing. And me and Ben were both just drooling about what we were seeing on camera. Even though it was very, very cold, and we were all wearing like 9 layers of clothing because it was about -1 outside, we were having a lot of fun on set. And you know, the inside of the dome had a very, very kind of interesting echo, and we were having a lot of fun that day. My main takeaways from the shooting day were just how good my crew were. Like, Amy's makeup work was absolutely insane. Ben's cinematography was top tier. He really knew what he was doing, and that FX3 was such an investment. And also Lily's performance was absolutely brilliant for a non-actress. She did really, really well, and I felt like her performance was really, really believable. I even got George to help me do a little bit of directing with her, as he is a professional actor and he's worked with proper theatre directors, and I have limited experience as a director. So telling her what to do with her facial features and her expressions was something that George helped me out with a lot. After the shoot day, the film went into post-production, and Ben sent me some of the stock music that I might want to use for music for this film. He got that off a website called Artlist, which is a platform where you can get copyright-free music of any genre. And I wasn't too keen on the music. I wanted something very kind of synthetic and industrial sounding, and there wasn't really a lot to choose from on Artlist. So because of this, I ultimately just decided to compose the entire soundtrack for the film myself, which was a bit of a curveball and, sort of came out of nowhere. But I do have experience with producing my own music. I like doing remixes and cover versions of existing songs, and also making my own tracks occasionally. So I sort of knew what I was doing and how I could do it, but I'd never actually composed a soundtrack for anything before. The closest thing that's come to that is doing my own version of the Doctor Who theme, but nothing had come close to doing a proper kind of cohesive soundtrack. But I knew what I wanted, and I used my own polyphonic synthesizer that my dad had gotten me for Christmas a few years back, and Logic Pro X. So the soundtrack took me 3 weeks to produce in its entirety, and I was very, very happy with how it turned out. It was exactly what I was looking for in terms of that kind of synthesizer sound that's got something industrial about it, and that kind of horror aspect with something unnerving, with chords that don't sound quite right, and something unsettling in the background. So yeah, that was how we made the Watcherkind, and I hope you enjoyed this little behind the scenes look. I just want to thank my entire crew of Ben Hernandez, Amy Perkis, Lily Harmon, George Zathakis, and all the other people that helped on this film. So yeah, thanks for watching, and check the film out if you haven't already.